It's the New England Take. I'm your host, AJ Kierstead. The NewEnglandTake.com is the new website. Be sure to check that out. Pushing it hard because I'm really trying to get some people to get their opinions on it. Let me know what you think. If you want to contribute to it, I'm looking for writers, content creators, anything. I really want to open it up to people of all backgrounds and opinions and such. The New England Take at gmail.com if you want to talk to me about that. All right, going to do an opinion segment here. We're going to be talking about a little bit of school choice at the beginning of it here. I just, as I am wont to do, I'm terminally online and was on Twitter one day, and this was on January 27th. I came across this tweet from Diane Ravitch. She said, "The best choice is your local public school. It welcomes everyone. It unifies community. It is the glue of democracy." On the face of it, that's fine. That's an opinion. I can kind of understand it to some point. But she got some pushback from Christina Pusha. She wrote, "Why didn't you send your sons to local public school then? You didn't want the best for them, so you pay for a private school in New York City. Make it make sense." Great call out, and unfortunately, Diane here dug her own grave in this situation by saying, "I paid for it. I didn't ask taxpayers to pay for my private choice." I think that's a disgusting opinion, personally. If you think that there's only one option that's best for all families for educating their children, you're severely mistaken. I think there's tremendous value in alternatives. The reason why New Hampshire allows charter schools to be paid for by local communities. The education freedom accounts, I'm a huge fan of the concept of that. I've had Kate Baker Demers from the education, the New Hampshire Scholarship Fund, that's the name of it, to talk about it, as well as Americans for Prosperity on here. And I keep looking for genuine reasons against it, other than supposedly it takes away funding from public schools, and the other thing is they just don't want to fund religious schools. I think that's a majority of the situation at this point. I think a lot of the charter schools in the state are along the lines of religious schools, or there's very special orientation that they want for the school, and they think that public schools are the be-all end-all, and probably politically, if a Democrat came out opposite it, it would be the end of their political career, which is extremely unfortunate. It's part of the downside with our two-party political system in that situation. If I had to guess, a lot of the rhetoric we hear, especially out here in Concord, is because if they dare push back against what the mainstream narrative is around public education in the Democratic Party, they'd be screwed politically. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think the volume of very well-off Democrats that end up sending their kids to private school and then just go on and on and on about how public school is the best option, why wouldn't you send them there, is gross. And I hate political hypocrisy, and I think we should call out politicians for that, whether it's on the right or the left. It's really a problem. I mean, there's been all sorts of articles this past it was about a week ago, I want to say, around the fact there's just a lot of money from the education freedom accounts was used it went to Amazon. Actually, I think it was $100,000. It wasn't even that much, generally speaking, when you consider the amount of families that are paying to it. And the education labor unions were all in a tizzy. The activists were all in a tizzy. Look, they're just sending all this money to big corporations that are involved with it. The unions in the state make millions of dollars off of their representing teachers in here. This one's more hypocrisy around it. We can't have an honest discussion when it comes to school funding, it seems like. I keep hearing all these stories from Democrats when it comes to it that they're just stealing funding. It's always the negative. They're always trying to take away funding from public school. I really don't buy that case anymore. And schools have become so expensive here. I'm not some free stater that's trying to shut down public education by any stretch. I'm not that far to the libertarian extreme by any stretch. I just think options are good. I think competition is good. You breed an economy of choice. parents are going to hopefully choose what's best for their family. And another thing here, this is from New Hampshire Journal, nhjournal.com, big fan of their site. The name of the article is Alt Schiller, private school parent wants to force EFA kids into public schools. And this is from that article, quote, Alt Schiller's bill, SB 141, would make EFA funds available for students, quote, currently attending a New Hampshire public school for a minimum of 1 year or who is entering kindergarten for first grade, end quote. And the bill is the support of all 10 Democrats, end quote, from the New Hampshire Journal article. This is crazy. I'm going to hear once again, we're just opening a debate. I called out Representative Joe Sweeney 2 weeks ago when I had Representative Keith Amowin on for this similar nonsense. We're just trying to have a discussion around it. No, the Democrats want to shut down the education freedom accounts. I think if there was a slight bit of meat in the middle on any of this, I may be willing to give leeway to the party when it comes to this. We're not finding that whatsoever. We're finding just straight up, we're going to find every which way to either eat into the student base and family base so that they don't take the EFAs, or they're just straight up trying to kill the funding. And in this situation specifically, I find it truly disgusting, because if you send your kid, what are you going to do? You're just going to send your kid for 1 year to a school? The kid's not going to want to leave. You're basically forcing this family to forever send this kid to the school because they're going to make friends. They're going to enjoy their teachers. They're going to get to know the school. I mean, some people say the public school on the right are really, really, really against the public school system. But generally speaking, families are kind of like, I would prefer to do something else, or I have an ethical reason why I prefer something else. And you're forcing families, because they love their children, to just say, okay, well, I guess I'm hosed on being able to do this now. That's gross. I can't even comprehend even proposing something like this. And I mean, going back to the original person, Diane Ravitch here, I mean, to say that it's the glue of our democracy. Well, you don't have enough faith in democracy to actually send your kids to the public school. It's like, no, because you know your local public school probably in this New York district, because it's New York. I don't have a lot of faith in their public education system based on historical data when it comes to such things. They're saying, no, I don't trust it. I'm going to go to a private school and pay for it out of pocket. So that means families that don't have that resource are stuck. They don't have that choice. Or if they do, I mean, this is another case that's been made against the education freedom accounts is, well, they were already sending their kids to private school. Why are they taking this money? If you are, it's like 300 times the poverty limit, 300% the poverty limit or something like that, that's not very much money. I make more than that with what I make. I'm not making bank here by any stretch of the imagination. It's a family of four has to make like $64,000 a year or something. That's not very much money for a family of four to be living off of. And to say, you know, you're just going to continue to pay that out of pocket, even though we have these funds that you would like to be able to pull, that you're paying with your own tax dollars, you're just going to have to deal with it forever. It's moral hypocrisy. It's moral hypocrisy to say that the public education system is just great. It just needs more money. It needs more kids thrown into it. We know what the right thing is for your children to learn. And I think that's just so far from the correct approach. We should have faith in parents. They know what they want their kids to learn. They may want to have a religious education. They may want to have Montessori background. There's all sorts of other education systems that could be utilized. And instead we just have this dumb political debate around public schools are the only schools that should get money, or we don't want to fund religious schools. I just hope the narrative changes eventually, and Democrats try and meet Republicans in the middle, and on the other side I really don't want Republicans villainizing more than is necessary to try and fix this problem. All right, so New England Take. I'm your host, AJ Kierstead. TheNewEnglandTake.com to get more from me, and the New England Take at gmail.com. Reach out. I'm looking for contributors, paid and otherwise. Please reach out. Talk to you next week.